Hello, everyone. My name is Mary Holden, and I am the program coordinator for Junior Achievement of the Eastern Shore. So, my job typically deals with finding volunteers and scheduling programs with organizations and schools. And today, I am your volunteer. Today, I'm going to be talking about JA, It's My Job, Cell Phones in the Workplace. So, like the title says, we're going to be talking about cell phones and how they are beneficial and maybe not so beneficial in the workplace. So just to kind of get started, just some ways you might use your cell phone right now is for games, taking pictures, listening to music, posting on social media, looking at social media, making appointments, all of those kind of personal things you might be doing to just have to just do when you have some downtime. But for your cell phone in the workplace, you might actually be able to use it. We are going to talk about a lot of it today, but for right now, so some ways you might be using it. You might be listening to a podcast that your company does, or for professional development. You might have to text with your boss or your coworkers. Maybe get directions to take a delivery somewhere. All of those different things, you might use cell phones in your workplace. So that's why we're going to be talking about it today, because it has changed a lot than what you might think or what your parents might think. So that's why we're talking about it. So I'm going to share my screen real quick, and we are going to look at some cell phone etiquette first. So right here we have a do's and don'ts chart of cell phone, what to do with your cell phone, what not to do with your cell phone in the workplace. So we have a bunch of do's over here and then a bunch of don'ts over here. I'm going to focus on the don'ts, but obviously the do's are important as well. So don't text or answer your phone while you're on the job. Don't check social media or use other apps. Don't use your phone in the workplace bathroom. Don't use your phone in the workplace without permission. This is a key point, so we're going to, again, talk about these in a second. Don't use your phone in the workplace without permission. I already said that, sorry. Don't use profanity, whether speaking or texting. Don't share company information on your cell phone. Don't text during a meeting or when with a colleague or supervisor. Don't take out your phone during an interview unless asked to do so by the interviewer, such as to set an appointment. And then don't try to sneak a peek at your phone while on the job. So those are all the don'ts. There are just as many do's, and we'll talk about all of those. If you have some additional don'ts, this is a good time to maybe brainstorm and think of maybe some other don'ts you would like to keep yourself to or hold yourself to when you're at the job. But cell phones are becoming a lot more common in the workplace, a lot more common in society in general. So there are a lot of things that are changing, and rules are constantly changing, especially when it comes to using your cell phone in the workplace. So the biggest thing is just ask your supervisor. Ask them, maybe not during the interview, maybe on your first day or something, and just say, what are your guidelines for cell phones in the workplace? I want to make sure I follow them appropriately. Obviously, cell phones are a really easy way for people to get in contact with their families, especially based off emergencies. And I think up here on do's, it says, do tell your friends and families not to call or text while you're at work. One easy way, one solution for that would be to give them your office phone number. That's a really good way in case there is an emergency. Stuff happens, so they might need to get in contact with you. That's one way to for them to still be able to get in touch with you and let you know that something's going on. Another thing is, again, if you ask your supervisor, they might say if there's emergencies, you can, have your phone on, but we ask that you don't using it all the time. If you see a phone call coming from your mom, you can answer, and, if she's just asking what you want for dinner, maybe just be like, Mom, don't call me at work. But hopefully she knows better than that. But, just those kind of things. Also, you can ask your work buddies and coworkers what they would prefer for communication. So there are supervisors that are totally fine with using your cell phone or using their cell phone number and getting in contact with them that way based off of schedules or stuff like that. So again, just ask that question. How do you want to communicate? Do you want me to text you? Do you want me to just only email you or call you? What's the best policy for all of that? Asking is going to go a lot farther than, getting in trouble for using your phone when you're not supposed to, or something like that. Obviously, things are changing, and it honestly depends on the job. Some jobs are a little more casual, and they text out the schedule. That's just how they give you your schedule. So that might be the way they communicate, and that's totally fine. But we're going to talk about things about how to make sure you're using your cell phone professionally if you are able to. So these are quick do's and don'ts of how to, and of course feel free to put in some of your own at this point. And we are going to move over to cell phone scenario cards. So I know we can't really work in groups and kind of make this a more fun activity, but I did still want to show this because I think it has some good information and good examples for you all to look at. So each scenario card, there are employees and they're supposed to have their cell phones off while on duty. So all of these scenarios, every place that these people work, their phones should be off while they're on duty, maybe at least on silent, but preferably off. So we're going to look at what might happen if they decide, whatever, I don't care about that rule, I'm going to use my phone how much as I want. It doesn't really matter. So I'm going to go through a couple of these, not all of these, but you can do this on your own or with a friend or something if you have a friend close by. And you can kind of just think through these and maybe jot down some of your ideas of what might happen. And then we can, talk about why it's important to follow the rules. So our first one over here is you are a camp counselor in charge of a group of fourth graders who need to be chaperoned at all times. So if I decide the fourth graders, they look okay, they're just playing maybe soccer or something in a yard, and I can count most of them, I think they're all there, whatever. I'm going to play some games on my phone, blah-de-da-de-da, and then I look up and I am missing 2. I don't think those parents who come back and try to pick up their kids would appreciate that I don't know where they are. Now, there might be a creek down the way, and maybe they went off to run into it, and hopefully they're able to swim or they're able to just walk through it, but who knows? So there's a lot of dangers when it comes to being a camp counselor. While they're playing soccer, maybe I didn't lose 2, but one is crying on the ground. I don't know what happened. I'm not able to tell my supervisor or again those parents what happened because I wasn't looking. And I understand that sometimes fourth graders might be running around, so you might be looking in one direction and not the other, or something does happen, but it's important to at least have your attention on the kids you're supposed to be in charge of. Also, it also just sets a good example to those kids that you're caring for them. Maybe you're playing the game with them and it's a little bit more fun. So I think it's always important. So I'm going to go over here to this one. Let me try to highlight it so you can see it better. Okay. Well, you know which one I'm on now. So you work as a salesperson in a cosmetics store and have been trained to answer questions about products. So if you're a customer, you come up to me, and again, I'm on my phone, not really paying attention. One, you might hop over to the next salesperson. You might go to another store. I lose the sale. That's not good. If I'm a salesperson, probably going to make a commission. So now I just lost some of my salary, which is not cool. So obviously, I want to make sure I get the customer, but maybe you still are like, excuse me, still want to talk to you about whatever cosmetics I'm selling. I might just still kind of ignore you, might look at you, say like, oh yeah, we have this lipstick that makes your lips look red and it's awesome and it's the best and it's $50 and I'll take your credit card. Probably a good chance is one, again, that person might just decide, I don't want to buy from you, I lose a sale, or they might go to my manager and complain about me, and then my manager has to come in and either retrain me, which if I'm, I might be perfect, except I just wanted to be on my phone that day. So it would be really boring for me to have to get retrained. I might be written up. I might get fired. Who knows? Maybe that's like the third strike and I'm out of there. So you never know, and you always just need to be alert and aware. Let's go to this last one, and then I think we'll move on to our next little piece. So you are a busboy in a busy restaurant with demanding customers. A busboy needs to pick up all of the plates and tables from tables and wash them and take them away to the back. If I am sitting on my phone in the back, not even where customers can see me, those tables are sitting empty, but they are still dirty because I just haven't decided to clean them yet. I'm going to be in a lot of trouble. One, because there's probably anxious, annoyed customers sitting in the waiting area, seeing most likely a bunch of empty tables, but just haven't been cleaned off yet. Two, I have waiters that are waiting on me to clean them up and clean those tables off so they can then make more money and get more tips. And then my manager is probably also super stressed because now customers are complaining about waiting so long, and the waiters and waitresses are upset because I'm taking too long. So it's just not a good look in general. And again, although the past two, the salesperson and the busboy, are not super dangerous, the camp counselor, that could lead to a lot of dangerous, bad scenarios. With the salesperson and busboy, I might just get fired and I lose my job. And I don't want to lose my job, so it's really not worth it to be on my phone, to be playing, Candy Crush or something. So I'm going to skip out on that, and I'm going to do my job the best of my ability. Maybe when I'm on break, sitting in the break room by myself, I can pull out my phone. Again, maybe double check that with your supervisor, but that might be an option. So again, take a look at some of these, kind of think about how your ways of using your cell phone could really impact what happens at your job that day, and how not being on your cell phone and not being distracted makes you a more productive worker. So that's what these scenario cards are. Again, I apologize, we can't really do this in a more fun way, but you're still getting the basic knowledge. So next, we're going to move on to our cell phone productivity sheet. Okay. So now we have different job duties, and then we have how we might use our cell phone. So again, like I said, there are going to be jobs and they are very strict about their cell phone policy. You just can't have it out, you can't have it on, just keep it away. And that is a pretty good, just basic general information and assumption that I can't use my cell phone. But again, you can ask your supervisor to double check and make sure that maybe you can use them. And these are some things that cell phones can be really useful for. So use them to help us solve problems and do specific tasks. And again, as you probably know, most cell phones can do almost everything a computer can. Obviously, sometimes it's a little easier to work on a computer. It's a bigger screen. You can use a keyboard. You can use a mouse to scroll on everything. But again, I can Google everything on my phone just like I can on my computer. So they are very similar. So some things you might have to do for a job: find find the address of the local dry cleaner for a customer who wants one, who needs one. So maybe one of your clients is just asking, they're new to the neighborhood, they need some help finding the local dry cleaner. So then you might need to use your cell phone really quick, search, what the closest dry cleaner, the best dry cleaner, any of those things in the nearby area, and then give them the address, the GPS, all of those different things would be really helpful. Making a lunch reservation for your boss. So obviously just calling on your cell phone. Again, you might be able to just use your work phone for that, but who knows? That is one way to use your cell phone. Or you can, of course, go to the restaurant's website, and usually they have online reservations now, so you can book it that way. Next one is book an appointment on your calendar and invite someone else to come to it. So again, this is really easy. If I have my calendar on my phone, I can really easily make an event or an appointment, and then I can send it to the person I need to send it to and invite to that appointment. So there's a lot of different apps. You can use your email app for your calendar, or you can use just your calendar app, all of those different things. Checking the price of a product at 2 different locations. So searching for the near me for whatever that product might be, and trying to see what prices are the best. Figuring out how to pronounce an unfamiliar word. So obviously just Googling it, looking it up. Translate a phrase into another language. So maybe your client doesn't speak English that well and you're trying to translate. It might be easy, just pull out your phone, use the translating app. That way you can communicate a little bit better. Contacting a group of coworkers to tell them that their hours are being changed. That's a really quick way to do so. Again, maybe you could email them. You might be able to do that on your phone still, but maybe just sending a text to the group chat or something like that would be a lot easier. Contact your supervisor to say that you will be late. So this one, again, you can obviously just text them if you have been given permission to text them. If you have their cell phone number, you might email them. I would say email is like your last resort, and I would really honestly try to call the office if you know they're going to be in the office, or maybe call their cell phone again if you do have that number, because calling or texting is going to get there right away. They don't have to be trying to check their email to see that you're going to be late, because it would be bad if they didn't check their email right away. They're like wondering where you are, and they maybe would have been able to already call someone in to fill your position if needed for that day. So that's important. Check the weather for tomorrow. Maybe you're having an outdoor event. That might be very helpful to see what the weather is going to be like. Fingers crossed it's perfect. Document a training session for later viewing. So sometimes there's going to be training videos. The company might give you an app or a website to look up, and you're just supposed to watch them on your phone. So that might be something. Obviously, the calculator for calculating a math problem, that's always helpful. And your office might not always have a calculator, and maybe you're stuck in a program or something on your computer. And then find out how your company is ranked on a review site. Obviously, easy way to look and see, make sure that your company is looking good. So you can always, write in how you feel that your cell phone use would be helpful and productive in the workplace for these scenarios. You can obviously make your own up and try to think of those and make sure that, you're staying on track. And again, just make sure you ask your supervisor before you just pull out your phone to use the calculator. I'm sure they won't mind that so much, but again, just to be polite, I think it's good. So now we're good with the cell phone productivity, and we're going to move on to our last worksheet, which is texting professionally. Okay. So we have a lot of different things about texting professionally. Obviously, when you're texting people normally in your day, it's probably your family, your friends, people like that. So one, you're probably not going to text your coworkers or your boss nearly as much as you text friends and family, and you're probably also going to be texting them a little bit differently. So we're going to be talking about that. If you have a job that requires your phone to be off, obviously texting is not going to happen during the workday, but if your supervisor has said when you're out of the office, please text me, that's the best way to reach me, then you'll be using it when you're off and at home or something like that. So again, some of those things about texting productivity, if you're going to be late, texting might be a little easier. If you're just sick, you might have to text them. So we're going to talk about all of that. So if you do text with your boss or supervisor, you might be texting about your hours. So they might be sending you your schedule. Again, some companies, that's just how they do it. It's a lot easier just to text everyone, here's your schedule for the next 2 weeks or something like that. Maybe the hours change. Maybe there's a holiday that they completely forgot about, that the office is going to be closed, or it's going to be closing early, something like that, or just a reminder in that fashion. Any other kind of thing, maybe you're supposed to wear a different uniform or something on a specific day. Maybe it's a dress down day or something like that. So they might be texting you for a bunch of different reasons. And then your coworkers. So your coworkers, you might have a question about the schedule. Maybe you haven't received it yet. Have they received it? And maybe they can send it to you. Maybe you need to swap shifts. So maybe something came up where you're trying to plan something, but you weren't able to take off for it. So maybe you want to switch with them. Maybe just asking for advice from any of the more experienced staff members, anything like that, you might be asking your coworkers. And that's totally okay to do over text. And then sometimes you are going to need to use your phone during work hours. So at Junior Achievement, when we have events, we do have walkie-talkies, but sometimes it's also easier to just text each other, see what's happening. Maybe some of us are coming at different times, so that range of the walkie-talkie only goes so far. So, the people that are still at the office and the people that are at the event space, we can text them. It's just a little quicker than having to go again into your email app and finding the email and all of those different things. And maybe they don't have the email app on their phone. So texting might be used during work hours. And again, you just have to double check, and it might not be all the time. It might only be for certain situations. So always just ask if you're ever curious. So we're going to look at some of these different scenarios, but I have a couple as well. So imagine your supervisor texted you with news that you are going to be getting a bonus. What might you say back? So simple, easy, thank you. Exclamation point, that's great, that's awesome, anything like that. Maybe try to stay away from emojis. If your supervisor has used emojis, because sometimes they might, then I would think it's okay for you to use them. I would stick with more like smiley faces, but just maybe don't use it until they use one first. Obviously, trying not to use acronyms, spell out your words. Spelling you is not that difficult. So spelling out thank you is always easy. If your friend who is not a coworker asks you what time you're coming over, you might respond a little differently than what you just texted your boss about the raise. You might be saying, see you soon. You might just have a letter C and letter U. I don't really text like that, but maybe you do. And you might throw in a bunch of different emojis, maybe some that are a little crazier, anything like that. So obviously it's going to be a little different than how you're texting your friends and your coworkers and your boss. So we're going to look at this handout. So you just remember that tomorrow is election day. You need to know how your school or work schedule might be affected. So for your friend, you might just text them, hey, are we off tomorrow? Super quick, easy. Maybe you don't spell out every word. Maybe you don't include a question mark. And again, you're just kind of to the point. And then, but if you're texting your coworker, you might say, hey, I just saw that it's election day, period. What does that mean for our schedule? So the way I'm saying it like that too is I wouldn't say like, are we off, and kind of assume that we're off and trying to like get out of work. I'm just asking about the schedule because we might have to go in, but maybe we close early or something like that. So just trying to be polite again. So next, so your friend supervisor asks you to bring a picture of a grandparent for a special photo collage being designed for a wall at school or work. So if you're texting your friend about that, you might just might send them the picture, something like that. For your coworker, you might um, bring one in or ask if they would like it emailed to them. Something like along those lines might be helpful. And then lastly, say your friend, coworker needs to leave early and asks you to babysit for a younger sibling or fill in at work. So for your friend, you might be like, sure, on my way, something simple and sweet. For your coworker, you might say, yes, I can do that, period. Like, I will see you soon, or what time do you need me there? All of those different things. Just to again use those full sentences, use our words or grammar, all of those different things really quickly. Now, one thing I'm going to mention, so this again is a worksheet you all can work on your own. You don't have to go off of my ideas. Think of your own ideas of how you would text your friend versus your coworker, and make sure you kind of try to think of those, the etiquette for especially in work. But what if you work with your friend? Your coworker is your friend. So what does that mean? Really simply, obviously, you can still text them like your friend. You're going to text them about stuff that is not work related. You're probably also going to talk to them about stuff that is work related. My recommendation and advice is when you are talking about work, try to not gossip, try not to be rude or complain just about how awful your day was and how you can't believe that this customer did this and your other coworker was not even trying and not doing anything and was on their cell phone. Try to keep it more professional. Obviously, maybe you don't have to use all the grammar and stuff like that, but keep it more positive than negative when you are talking to them. And again, make sure you're going through all the right outlets. So if there is actually issues with coworkers not pulling their weight, you talk to your supervisor or manager about that. But again, you can still talk to your friends and text your friends like they're your friends. So just remember, you know, don't really use acronyms, not casual language. Try to keep it professional, using punctuation. And again, just ask them what their policy is on, sorry, sharing. Okay. Ask them their policy on the cell phone use in the workplace. That's the easiest way to do it. And it might feel weird at first when you're texting your boss or supervisors and you might be triple checking, proofreading your text before you send it, but it will get a lot easier, and it is way better for you to try to do all of those things than to have something go wrong. So again, just ask your coworkers, ask your supervisor, how do you want me to communicate with you? Is texting okay? Should I have my phone at work? Should it be in my purse? What are those things? And you will be off to success. So thanks, guys.